Beyonce has entered the presidential race. Okay, not quite, but Kamala Harris did use Beyonce's song Freedom in her first official campaign video. Take a listen.
We choose freedom.
Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yeah, freedom.
What a great record. That's one of my favorite records from Lemonade. And I just wish that she had used the Kendrick Lamar verse. I kept listening to the end and trying to make sure that I didn't miss Kendrick, but unfortunately, it looks like we just got the beat, we got the hook. But I think Freedom is such a great song for Kamala Harris to use in her campaign video. It's just so exciting and full of energy. And as you can see from some of the first headlines that are coming out about this election, so much of it is going to be about women and women's rights being on the line. So I love having Queen Bee as the voice of that. I think it just brings people together. It's funny, I was saying on Twitter that Kamala Harris needs 3 artists if she wants to bring the country together. Taylor Swift, to get all the Swifties, Beyonce, so check, we have Beyonce, and my third, just for my personal sake, was Kendrick Lamar. Not Like Us is the song of the summer. This is the year of Kendrick Lamar, so Kendrick plus Kamala, I think that would be a great campaign win. Of course, technically, since Kamala did use Freedom, which features Kendrick, there is an argument that he is kind of involved in this campaign video, but I need to hear his. If you happen to see Kamala on the BET Awards, she did reference Not Like Us.
Are you hearing?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets. And let me tell you, you're right, Taraji. There is so much at stake in this moment. The majority of us believe in freedom and equality. But these extremists, as they say, they not like us.
No, they not.
If you follow her on Twitter and see what's going on social media, somebody from like Gen Z or Gen Alpha is running her account, so I'm sure we're going to see more Kendrick references. This got me thinking, Not Like Us, unfortunately, makes a lot of sense in this election. In many ways, it feels like democracy is at stake here. What is the future of America? In the same way that Kamala Harris, for a lot of us, she and the Democrats have to win so we don't have 4 more years of Trump. That was the same reason that Kendrick had to win when it came to Kendrick Lamar versus Drake. It wasn't just about 2 artists going head to head, but the rapper's rapper, the lyricist, the one who approached the battle through the lens of an MC, he had to win. It couldn't be about trolling or gimmicks or clickbait. Not that I'm drawing a parallel between Trump and Drake. I think that's a bit extreme. I just dropped a newsletter. If you're not following me on Substack, I'll drop the link in the description. But I liken President Joe Biden to J. Cole. Okay, just follow me for a minute. This analogy makes sense, I promise. So this week, President Joe Biden, he made a very emotional speech to the country and said that he was stepping down from this re-election. If you know Joe Biden, he's devoted 50 years of his life to being a public servant, and no one wants to be a one-term president, especially for him leaving on so many highs and wins. But there's been a lot of dissension in the Democratic Party, and a lot of people felt that it was just time for some fresh energy and new blood. People want to see the lineup of Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, the woman versus the man, young versus old, the prosecutor versus the felon. I mean, however you want to package it, it's exciting, and you see people really excited. In the same way, that's kind of like J. Cole. When J. Cole first dropped 7 Minute Drill, it felt like he was going to be a part of this big 3 battle. But very quickly, he decided to backtrack and said at Dreamville Festival, I apologize, Kendrick. My heart's not in it. My spirit's not in it. At the time, myself and a lot of other heads, we were very surprised. Cole, you love hip hop. You understand the competitive nature of it. On top of that, he's also an athlete. And no matter how you feel about your opponent, when you're out in the arena, that's all that matters. You leave everything out there in the game. A lot of us were really disappointed in Cole. But in retrospect, J. Cole might be the smartest man in the world. By him bowing out, we could focus on Kendrick Lamar and Drake. That really was the main event. And immediately things got so energized. Yes, it escalated and got personal as well, but this was the battle that everyone wanted to see. And while Kendrick and Drake were going back and forth and things were getting even more and more personal, I could just picture Cole somewhere riding his bike, running through the fields of North Carolina and just not having a care in the world. You know that kid is sleeping really good right now. And in the same way, I'm sure that it was hard for him to bow out. I'm sure he saw all the critique, all the tweets, what people were saying in the comments. But history is going to look kindly on Cole in many ways. And I think in the same way, Joe Biden and J. Cole, there's a lot of parallels. So now we can focus on the main event, which as of now, it looks to be Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. I can't wait to see if Kamala ends up using more of Not Like Us. I think there's a way to remix that song. I also think it's interesting, just if we're going thematically, again, give me a moment, I'm going to editorialize and be a music journalist for a minute. Not Like Us talks about things like sex predators. Kamala has talked about being a lifelong prosecutor and putting away sex predators. Now let's draw the narrative line. Donald Trump being convicted in civil court around sexual abuse. And he's also said some very problematic things about women for pretty much his whole life. So I think you could use pieces of that. I'm not saying I'm giving the Harris campaign any free advice, but free advice, I think you can remix Not Like Us and have a bit of a cultural moment. I don't know, let's see what they do. And if I'm just thinking ahead, how amazing would it be for Kendrick to perform at the inauguration? Again, this is a bit of a fantasy. I'm not sure Not Like Us is going to go over well after hearing the national anthem and God Bless America. But maybe, I do think there is this idea of us versus them, wanting freedom from the status quo. Like there is something to be said there. And I think it'd be cool for a rapper to perform at the presidential inauguration. It reminds me of back in 2008, how close somebody like Barack Obama and Jay-Z were. I remember when Barack Obama won his first term, all these cars in New York were playing Jeezy's My President. And it was such an incredible moment. And to me, that record soundtracks that presidency and that election. Again, it may not fit exactly, but I just feel like Kendrick's been having the greatest run of his life. He's at the top of the world. Why not somehow include him in the Kamala Harris campaign? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think about Kamala Harris using Beyonce's Freedom in her first campaign video? Do you want to see Kendrick Lamar or other rappers be a part of this election? Let me know in the comments.